The Mojave Desert doesn't negotiate. It doesn't care who you are. It doesn't care how prepared you think you are. And once you're alone out there, the clock starts ticking. Blistering heat, endless sand and rock, temperatures climbing past 100 degrees, no shade, no water, no second chances. There's a moment in the desert when you realize the silence isn't peaceful. It's empty, no traffic, no voices, no movement, just wind brushing across sand and stone. And under that silence, heat. The Mojave Desert stretches across southeastern California like an ocean of dust and rock. During summer, surface temperatures can exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit. The air is so dry it pulls moisture straight from your skin. Out here, survival isn't dramatic. It's slow, it's quiet, and it's brutal. This isn't a story about adventure. It's a story about restraint. This is the story of Eric Robinson, a man who survived 4 days stranded in the Mojave Desert without food, under relentless sun, and was found barely alive, severely dehydrated. This is not just a survival story. It's a battle between the human body and one of the harshest environments on Earth. The first day in a survival situation is usually driven by hope. Hope that you'll find your way back. Hope that someone will notice you're missing. Hope that it's not that bad. But the Mojave wastes no time. It doesn't begin with panic. It begins with confusion. You realize something is wrong. You look around. Nothing but desert horizon in every direction. No visible help. No reliable water source. No immediate rescue. The sun is climbing. The Mojave doesn't warm up gradually. It intensifies. By late morning, the temperature is already climbing past 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The ground radiates heat upward. The air feels sharp and dry in your throat. Eric quickly understands something critical. If he walks aimlessly, he dies faster. Movement in desert heat is like pouring gasoline on dehydration. Every step burns energy. Every breath loses moisture. Every drop of sweat evaporates instantly, which feels cooling, but actually masks fluid loss. He makes the decision that likely saves his life. He stops trying to escape immediately. Instead, he studies the environment. There is almost no natural shade, so he creates it. The first trench is shallow. He digs with his hands, with whatever tool or object he can use. The sand and soil are hot on the surface, but cooler underneath. This isn't instinct. This is primitive survival logic. A few inches below ground, temperature can drop noticeably. Wind exposure reduces. Direct solar radiation is blocked. He lowers himself into the trench. It isn't comfortable. The dirt scratches. The position is cramped. The air feels still, but it is survivable. This trench becomes more than a hole. It becomes a barrier between him and lethal sun exposure. By midday, the heat is aggressive. The body responds immediately. Sweating increases. Heart rate rises. Breathing becomes slightly heavier. The body is trying to cool itself. But here's the danger. In extreme heat, a person can lose over a liter of water per hour through sweat. Without replacement, blood volume drops, and that's where dehydration begins its quiet damage. By mid-afternoon, symptoms start. Dry lips, sticky tongue, mild headache, fatigue. He may still feel mentally sharp. That's deceptive. A dehydration works in stages. Stage 1 feels manageable. Stage 2 begins to impair judgment. Stage 3 can kill you. Eric minimizes movement. He adjusts the trench as the sun shifts westward. This shows critical survival thinking. Shade moves. Shelter must adapt. As evening approaches, the temperature drops dramatically. Deserts don't retain heat like cities, they lose it fast. Now comes a new challenge: cold stress. After sweating all day, skin damp with salt, night air hits harder. The body now burns calories trying to maintain internal temperature. Food would help, but food isn't available. Fortunately, hunger is not yet the threat. The night is long, and survival is now measured in hours. Morning returns with no rescue. Hope weakens. Physiologically, dehydration is now worsening. Urine output decreases sharply. The color darkens. The mouth feels constantly dry. The body begins conserving water aggressively. Less sweat, less saliva, reduced kidney function. But reduced sweat is dangerous. Sweat is cooling. Without it, core body temperature rises faster. Eric likely feels heavier today. Standing requires effort. The sun feels more aggressive than yesterday. He digs deeper. That trench becomes slightly more engineered. Lower profile, better angle against sun, perhaps reinforced with whatever materials he can find. He likely rests during peak heat hours between late morning and late afternoon. This is textbook desert survival. But here's what textbooks don't describe. Well, the psychological weight. The silence becomes oppressive. You begin calculating. How long can the human body survive without water in 110 degrees Fahrenheit heat? Answer: not long. By the second night. But fatigue is profound. Muscles ache, not from movement, but from electrolyte imbalance. Sodium levels shift. Blood thickens slightly due to fluid loss. The heart must pump harder to circulate reduced blood volume. Headaches intensify. Sleep becomes fragmented. The brain requires proper hydration to function clearly. Without it, thinking slows. Decision-making becomes harder. Emotions fluctuate unpredictably. But he stays put. And staying put might be the difference between rescue and collapse, miles away from help. Day 3 is often the breaking point in desert survival. At this stage, dehydration may reach severe levels. Symptoms could include confusion, blurred vision, rapid pulse, weakness, dizziness when standing, reduced sweating, hot, flushed skin. The kidneys are under strain. Blood pressure may drop when standing, causing near blackouts. Even small physical tasks feel monumental. Digging now takes enormous effort. He likely moves slower, pauses frequently. His trench is no longer just shade. It's survival infrastructure. He may ration what little moisture remains in his body by minimizing speech, minimizing motion, minimizing thought. The sun feels personal now, relentless. And this is where many survival stories end. People attempt one final desperate walk. They misjudge distance. They collapse in open sun. But Eric does not abandon shade. He endures. Day 4 pushes the human body near its dehydration threshold. Without sufficient water, organs begin to struggle. Core temperature regulation becomes unstable. Mental clarity may be significantly impaired. He may feel detached. Time may feel distorted. When standing may cause tunnel vision. Muscle coordination may falter. Skin elasticity is likely poor, a classic dehydration indicator. If untreated, this progresses to heat exhaustion, then heat stroke, then organ failure. But somewhere during this critical window, rescue teams locate him, found severely dehydrated, weak, exhausted, but alive. Severe dehydration isn't fixed with a single bottle of water. Rapid rehydration can shock the system. Medical teams must reintroduce fluids carefully, often intravenously. Electrolytes must be balanced, kidney function monitored, Core temperature stabilized. He was close. Closer than most people realize. 4 days in the Mojave heat, without reliable hydration, is not luck. It is disciplined survival behavior. Let's break it down. He did not wander aimlessly. He created artificial shade. He conserved energy. He minimized exposure. He prioritized shelter over movement. He understood, consciously or instinctively, that in desert survival, you don't conquer the environment, you reduce your interaction with it. The trench lowered radiant heat exposure, reduced sweating, slowed dehydration, reduced movement, preserved blood volume. Small decisions, massive consequences. The Mojave Desert is beautiful from a distance, but it is one of the most efficient dehydration environments on Earth. Dry air accelerates moisture loss. High sun exposure increases thermal stress. Minimal shade amplifies risk. Eric Robinson's Survival teaches one central lesson. Survival is often about doing less, not more, not running, not pushing forward blindly, not fighting the sun, but digging in, literally, waiting, conserving, enduring. 1 hour at a time. The desert looks beautiful from a distance, but up close, it is unforgiving. The desert doesn't roar. It doesn't chase. It doesn't attack. It simply waits. And if you make the wrong choices, it takes you quietly. Eric Robinson's Survival wasn't about strength. It was about restraint, about staying still when instinct says run, about digging down when hope feels buried. Because sometimes survival isn't about escaping, it's about holding on long enough to be found. 4 days, no food, severe dehydration, one trench between life and death, and sometimes that's all it takes. If you want the next story, subscribe now so you don't miss the next survival story.